politics for me, because I'm not in it for I hate politics.
Right.
And yet I'm known as a political guy. I hate it. I hate all of the people, generally speaking, in politics. There's a handful of people that I respect. I'm only interested in politics, I'm only involved in politics to some degree because we have to be, you know what I mean? But I do believe what I believe. I do have, I guess, a set of political beliefs, but they're more based in the Constitution and Declaration of Independence than anything a political party says. So my values and my principles are what drive me. The people in Silicon Valley, what are the values and principles? Because right now what's being taught in school, what's coming out, Jefferson's not popular.
Right.
Marx is popular.
Right. Well, I would say they are generally politically quite naive, and they don't think about politics very much in one way or the other. Not as much as you do, or even as much. I'm probably unusual in that I probably think about it more than most people do. They generally don't like it too much. Their instincts are libertarian, but the politics end up being liberal because that's what's cool. And so when for us, politics is about ideas. It's about changing things. But there's also this other mode where politics is about fashion. It's about and that's always the risk you have in Silicon Valley, or that's why Hollywood's so liberal. It's not that the people have thought things through in Hollywood.
It's cool.
And really, it's just cool.
So how does Karl Marx become cool and Jefferson become uncool? How did that happen?
I don't quite know. I'm more interested in the future-oriented question, which is how do we make Karl Marx uncool?
How do we do that?
And how do we make Jefferson cool?
How do we do that?
Don't quite know about that either. But that's the question we should be asking. That's
right.
the question you want to fundamentally solve.
So
why is wearing a Che Guevara T-shirt? Why is that cool in a way in which wearing Jefferson?
The only answer I can think of is because of a counterculture, that whatever the establishment says is cool is not. And so the establishment has been, Che is a rebel and is trouble. Jefferson, we got monuments to him, and that's what the establishment. My hope has come, and this is really a dark hope, but my hope has been at some point that table is going to flip, and the establishment is going to be saying Che and socialism and communism is all neat, and at some point Jefferson, don't read that. As soon as they say don't read those things, you're cool again.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some sense in which I can't. There are no perspectives on left of center in the U.S. anywhere left of center, mildly far left of center, that I think are anything but conventional at this point. So I definitely agree that it feels that way. I think to take sort of a non-political cut at this, I think one of the countercultural in the '60s was the hippies. We landed on the moon in July of 1969. Woodstock started 3 weeks later, and with the benefit of hindsight, that's when progress ended and the hippies took over the country. Today, the counterculture is to believe in science and technology. Our society, the dominant culture, doesn't like science. It doesn't like technology. You just look at the science fiction movies that come out of Hollywood: Terminator, Matrix, Avatar, Elysium. I watched the Gravity movie the other day. It's like you would never want to go into outer space. You would just want to be back on some muddy island. And so I think we're in a world where actually believing that a better future is possible, that you can have agency and work towards a better future, that is actually radically countercultural.
So could I offer this to that it's not that we're anti-science. I think you make a good point in the movies, but I don't think we're necessarily anti-science or anti-technology as much as we are becoming more and more fatigued on virtual everything. Mm-hmm. We want something real. Mm-hmm. Nothing in our society is real. Our money isn't real. Our word doesn't matter anymore. Our communication isn't real. Nothing is real.
Well, I think there's, I've often said there's been this technological slowdown for the last 40 years, and there is probably some strange connection.
Explain that, because I don't think that makes...
Where we've had progress in the world of bits, but not in the world of atoms. And this world of bits, we've had progress in computers, internet, mobile internet. Technology just means information technology. It's all about bits. But the world of atoms, space travel, energy like nuclear power, biotech, new medical devices, that's been much slower, and there's been much less progress in those areas in the last 40 years. And it's been
because of regulation.
Because one's been regulated, the other is not. But we've had this sort of dualistic world where the virtual world of bits has been growing very fast, but the real world of atoms has been kind of stagnant. And I think there's a strange counterpoint where the same thing happened with our currency, where the real value of money became separate from the virtual in August of '71 when we went off the gold standard. And so whatever you think of a gold standard, it had the virtue of connecting the real with the virtual. They were somehow connected. And it's when you separate the two that you have problems. So I think there's nothing wrong with cyberspace or computers or anything, but it's when it becomes separated from the real that it's bad. And these successful companies have actually been the ones that somehow connected it. Facebook succeeded because it was about real people having a presence on the internet. There were all these other social networking sites people had, but they were all about fictional people. One of my friends started a company in 1997, 7 years before Facebook, called SocialNet. And they had all these ideas, and you'd be like a cat and I'd be a dog on the internet, and we'd have these virtual reality, and we would just not be ourselves. And that didn't work, because reality always works better than any fake version of it.